In the smart sales system, we've been comparing product selling to consultative selling. And product selling is basically what most salespeople do, in my opinion. And this is where they go out and they talk about the company they work for, the product that they sell, and they're focused on communicating in a way, trying to get customers with every interaction. And consultative selling is more about communicating how you help, the problems you make go away, asking good questions. And then as a secondary thought, you're talking about how your product can help any problems that you've identified, who you work for, maybe share a customer example. And the goal of consultative selling is to start conversations, not necessarily get customers with every interaction. So let me give you an example of what I'm talking about here. If you create a cold email with your natural instinct, which is I sell a product, I want to increase sales for my product, I'm going to try to use email to sell, and that natural instinct will pull you towards product selling, your email will look something like this. Hello, prospect. I'm a senior account manager with company X. We provide this, this, and this. I'm reaching out to see if you need what I sell. Can I schedule a 20, 30-minute meeting with you to try to get you to buy what I sell? Best regards. Now, of course, that outline, while it might seem a bit harsh or ridiculous, that is not crazy. I get emails every day. Now, of course, there's a little bit more fluff around that. It's a little softer, maybe. Usually there's more information around that, which increases the instant delete rate. But the outline of what they're saying is that. And that is a product selling email. And that email breaks a lot of those rules that we talked about. It's all about the salesperson trying to sell something. And it really doesn't touch on the prospect's interest. The prospect does not care about any of those things. So this is the email that you tend to create when you're in product selling mode. What I'm going to show you here is how to create email templates that are more consultative selling. So we'll try to drive you towards the right side of this two-sided comparison here. Now, in order to create a consultative selling sales message, I'm actually going to go back to this example that we've used throughout this training program, which is selling web design services. What we did is we went through a process to create the sales message for web design. We didn't create the scripts or the emails yet. We created the sales message, and we can then use the sales message to create email templates. I'm going to refresh your memory here of the sales message that we created really quick, and then I'll flip through email templates that I've plugged in this sales message too. So the product is web design. Those are the features and differentiation. We're targeting small business owners, and these are the benefits. These are the pain points. These are the questions that we can ask based on the sales message. And here's a customer example. This is the sales message that we created. If you missed the process for how to go through those steps, go back to a previous training module on building your sales message. What each of those steps gives us is it gives us these different building blocks. And once we have the building blocks, we can then mix and match these building blocks to not only create call scripts and voicemail scripts and objection responses, but also our email messages. When you're creating your cold email campaign, if we go back to those tips, one of the tips was use a multi-touch approach, a multi-message approach. So let's say we're going to send multiple email messages. Okay, well, let's try to think of a topic for each message. What you can do is you can use your building blocks to create your email topics for the different email messages. Now, the templates that I give you, what I've done, it's a more simple approach, and you can just copy my approach. The simple approach is I'm going to use a building block for each email. So here on the right side, we have a handful of building blocks. So those will provide if we do an email for each building block, we'll have a series of emails right there. But what you can also do, and I'm not going to show you this here today, like you can drill into a particular building block and use the individual points to create your email topics. For example, let's drill, if we just think about the pain points building block, the example sales message that we created here today, there's different pain points. You could create an email topic and an email for each pain point topic. So if there's 3 bullet points, 3 pain points, each of those could be an individual email. What I'm going to show you here today is we just put all of those pain points into one email, and that will make more sense here in a minute. But that's how you can come up with email topics for your cold email campaign. The next thing is a common question and a big discussion point, which is what are some good subject lines for our emails? With subject lines, I try to use the same logic, which is I'm not necessarily trying to create a subject line that closes the deal or that gets the prospect to reply or triggers a high level of interest or something. What I do with my subject lines is I try to create a subject line that does not trigger an instant delete. So I try to be a little bit generic and subtle with my subject lines, not to say that that I have it all figured out. That's just what I do. I'll show you what that looks like. So let's start to flip through some of the email templates that I've created here that you can maybe, use for your own purposes. So the first email uses our value points building block. And so you can see the subject line here. I'm basically using a version of the first bullet point. So the bullet points in the middle are our value points building block. And then I copy and tweak it a little bit, the first bullet point for the subject line. So the subject line is just a value point. You can see here, increase the revenue generate through your website. So I'm not saying that is going to go make someone go, oh, and then instantly reply. There's no all caps. It doesn't look too much like a salesperson trying to push something. So I try to fly a little bit under the radar with the subject line. And then the email, you'll notice it's very tight in terms of word count. The reason for the email is we help small businesses to benefit. I don't know if you want to improve those areas. That's why I'm reaching out. And then it goes for the close. So there's a lot of information missing here, but it's a tight message. If anything, it creates a little curiosity. It's not all about me and my company. The benefits are about how I help the prospect. So while the benefits are kind of about what my product does or delivers, it comes at an angle of this is how I can help you. So it tries to shine more on the prospect than on me and make it more about the improvements that the prospect might be able to realize, and that tries to focus more on them. The next email basically uses the pain points building block. So here we're using a pain point for the subject line. Website visitors are not converting to customers. The reason for the emails, we help small businesses with the challenges of pain 1, pain 2, pain 3. I don't know if you're concerned about any of those areas, and that's why I'm reaching out. Are you available for a brief meeting? And then the close for a meeting at the end. Email number 3, we use our name drop building block. So in the subject line, we can put the customer's name, and then we can put maybe how we help them. Very, very tight, short summary. So BG Accounting increased leads by 500%. The reason for the emails, we worked with an accounting firm and helped them to do a complete refresh of their website. This helped to improve how they told their story and the services they provide. After only 6 months, they increased their leads by 500% and increased sales by 20%. Are you available for a meeting? Email number 4 is a pain questions email. So this uses the pain questions building block. We actually use a question for the subject line. Get more revenue out of your website. Then I'm trying to determine if we can help you in the same way we've helped other clients. These are some of the questions that I would ask you to try to figure that out. Question 1, question 2, question 3. Do any of those connect with the challenge or interest that you have? If so, let's put a few minutes on the calendar, have a brief conversation. I just want to point out, this is not an email I would send by itself. This is only really designed to be as part of a series. And we're asking questions, and the questions aren't asked in where we want them to type out answers to these. By no means would we ever expect a prospect to type out answers to these. And that's why we say, do any of those questions connect with you? Or these are the questions I want to ask you. And this is email number 4 in our series. So at this point, we're trying to get a meeting with them to ask questions. At this point, we haven't gotten that meeting. So now we're just sending an email saying, hey, this is what I'd like to talk to you about. This is what I want to ask you. And like I said, I wouldn't send this by itself, but as a series, it can sort of serve its purpose. Email number 5, at this point, we're going to start to talk about us. We've tried to be more about the prospect, and now we're talking about us. So this uses our product building block. So we could just maybe insert what we sell in the subject line. Reason for the emails, we provide web design services, and that includes this, and that. Some ways we differ from other options are, and there's some differentiation, and then a close for an appointment. Now, one thing I want to point out is that we're starting to put the light more on us than the prospect, but this is email number 5. And I do want to point out, this is usually email number 1 for your product selling salespeople. So in this approach, you're waiting till email number 5 to get to that. Whether you like that or not, that is a difference here. And then here is a checking back in email. This is an email following back up, whether or not you include this in your cold email campaign and series, or that you use this maybe with leads that have gone cold. This uses your pain points as a way or reason to check back in. The subject line is following back up with you. Then it's been a little while since we spoke, so I thought I would check back in with you. One reason I thought it might make sense to continue our discussion is if you're having any of the challenges we help businesses to resolve, and then there are the pain points. What would be nice here is if you put actually the pain points that you identified in your previous meetings. So if you're following the smart sales system and in your meeting, meeting, you identified maybe a few pain points. You could mention those here saying, are you still having these? And then that's how the email ends. Basically, are you still concerned about any of those areas? If so, let's get back together. Here is a last attempt email. And this is written in a way where it could be sent to someone that you were never able to connect with. Subject line is checking in. And then I never heard back from you, so I thought I would follow up with you one last time. The reason I'm trying to connect with you is that we help small businesses too. And this uses your value points building block. If I don't hear back from you, I will assume you're not interested in those improvements or that you're not the right person to speak with. If I should be contacting someone else, any pointing in the right direction would be greatly appreciated. Here is a keep us in mind email. Let's say that you sell something that's regularly purchased by your prospects. Maybe they've purchased it recently. Maybe they're using someone today, and at some point down the road, they'll make a change. This is an email where you're basically conceding that, hey, they probably have something, and the odds are that they're not going to need to buy what I sell at the exact time that they receive my email. And you're just playing into that assumption, and you're coaching them to keep you in mind. So with this message, it's basically saying, so in the subject line, it says, keep me in mind, and then you might include what you sell. So like picture selling office supplies, right? All businesses will need to continually buy office supplies. It's just a matter if they buy them from you or buy them from your competitor. So keep us in mind, full wet office supply catalog. Put your product in the subject line there. Since you're a small business owner, you might need to make changes to your website from time to time. We provide web design services, so please keep us in mind when you find yourself needing to change or update your website. Some ways that we differ from other options out there, and then you include your differentiation. So we're kind of using our product building block here. Let me know if you reach a point where you'd like to schedule a brief call to discuss. So you're kind of conceding. The hope here is that the prospect hangs on to your email, sticks it in a folder, and then when they need what you sell, they come back to it. I mean, this is trying to coach them to perform that action. So those are some email templates. Now, one thing I want to point out is we used a lot of the building blocks to fill in those templates. And hopefully, as you can see, if you go through our process to create your sales message, and then that process will then create your building blocks, it's real easy to create your cold email campaign or to create your email templates because you have all of that content and you can just fill all that in. So it's pretty easy from there, and you can use these templates if nothing else.